Welcome back to Sly, the first Sly, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's
We'll just
continue.
call it Sly from that one.
You also have noticed potentially a third icon. Each level has 3 icons: the key, the safe, and the third one, which is an hourglass. In this game, only this first game actually has time trials. When after you complete a level, just like in Crash 3, you can go back and actually perform a time trial. You don't really get anything outside of like an extra video at the end, and like the commentary of the creators of the game while you're playing every single level. So it's not really that big of a deal. It's not even counted for the PS3 trophies, to be honest, but I recall.
I don't know. It looks pretty risky and very unsanitary.
Only one way to find
Sly, no. Anyway, there you go. Classic Looney Tunes disguise. Let's use the battle not so much for stealth in itself, but potentially to avoid getting skewered by these darts, I guess. I also love the usage. The thing that this franchise loves to do is to do some Mickey Mousing with the cello. I think it's a proper instrument that gets tingled every time Sly has to make a particular step while in sneaky format, and this will be much more noticeable for stuff when he's using the barrel, which again, classic cartoony antics.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the things that I didn't mention, potentially the previous part, the composer. This first game only has a composer, Ashif Hakik, which is mostly noticeable also for composing Crash Nitro Kart. Not too far after this game. But starting with the second game onward, again, another thing of a tradition, the series will have Peter McConnell as its composer, which is notorious for having worked with a shit ton of LucasArts video game, like Monkey Island 2, Full Throttle, and so on. And he's actually a great composer for this franchise, I will tell you that. The soundtrack of his first game is fine, but you can tell the step in quality from the second game onward. You start getting things more like a leitmotif, kind of like Gears 2 in a way. Where you start getting a proper leitmotif, the different remixes of it, more personality in the score. This one is fine, but it does lack a bit of personality.
Well, I'm guessing, is it like with the music? Isn't it kind of like the music with? Well, actually, yeah, because when it comes to Crash Nitro Kart, it's like that. The music's fine, but I just get the feeling the composers were just trying to mimic Crash Team Racing style of music.
That's like Crash Nitro Kart in general. It feels like it's trying to mimic Crash Team Racing while doing more, but also less at the same time. For instance,
Well, I mean, it's better than Tag Team Racing.
Oh god. Okay, so let me put up Nitro Kart like this. You get to play as more characters during the story mode. However, there are less tracks solo. What the hell? You get to technically do more with the team attacks and whatnot, but you also feel like you get to do less, especially with how finicky the controls are.
Not just that, Jova. For the actual campaign, you get to play as less because you only have 2 teams available, Team Crash and Team Cortex, while the rest of the playable characters are only there for the rest of the single-player and multiplayer modes, but not for the actual campaign.
Damn,
for example,
you're right. I mean, technically,
Team Oxide and Team Entrance are not playable actually for the campaign.
Plus I mean, I know for us, okay at best the music in Nitro Kart is. At least it sticks to what it's trying to go for.
Oh boy. Okay, Tag Team Racing. That game, man. Okay.
Again, it's like I said before. You can't have a cappella alongside real instruments. That kind of defeats the whole point of a cappella.
I will say this: the best thing to come out of Tag Team Racing was all the dialogue we got from characters, because holy cow, is the adult humor in full force to the point where they literally have Coco orgasming in one of her lines.
Wait, she what?
I didn't know that, and I wish I kept didn't know in that.
You actually
mean like unintentionally, like that?
Or was Debbie literally told? Sound like you're having an orgasm.
Let me put it like this: she literally.
Vanille's VA to do in 13.
Yeah, that's the name I was trying to think of.
Let me put it this. She literally screams yes, yes, yes 3 times, each getting higher in succession. Like, do I dare replicate it? Let's just say it.
No,
No, please. I'll
Please
trust your word on it, Jova.
Yeah, anyway, basically, yeah, tag team racing was very full of more adult humor, but also this and that. I'll just say this,
I love how the searchlights don't see you, even though they clearly could see you.
Yeah,
inside the barrel.
above you.
Yeah.
And guess who the poor unfortunate soul doing tag team racing?
Wait,
I don't know, Dibs.
is it me or you?
Well, I was doing it. I mean,
I didn't know that.
Because I believe you were doing tag team racing, Joe.
Wait. I thought you were talking about who's doing tag team racing.
No, sorry, team racing.
Oh, Crash Team Racing?
Yeah, I
What?
thought you were doing team racing and I'm doing tag team racing.
Yes, of course I'm handling team racing.
Anyway, sorry, go on. Sorry.
As I say, back to, I think you're trying to get this back on top.
Yeah.
Of the,
No, only a minor thing, because it's something that will be noticeable also later. The coins actually have a symbol representing the hub that you're in, like in this case, it's Sir Raleigh's hat. Coins later down the line will keep changing the symbol on it to reflect that. If I recall correctly, one of the interviews said that the devs wanted to implement also money in paper form, kind of like Luigi's Mansion, for example, but couldn't, so we just stick to money. You can tell there were a lot of attempts that were of things that we tried to do but got scrapped, like for example the key design. All the key designs resemble Sir Raleigh's hat, so you can imagine that later on the line keys of different hubs will have to look different, but we just couldn't, so we just stick to one design that resembled the first level.
So-
Alright, let's see what power up we get here.
Fuck you, Sly. This note is a fake sign.
Racoonus. This one features Dev Cooperenda's slow.
Okay, this is kinda useless to be honest. This is a thing that will be brought back for later games. It sounds cool because it does slow motion, but it slows everything, including you. Unlike in stuff like Prince of Persia, that allows you to slow down time in order to position yourself better, nothing really changes from doing this outside of looking cool.
Well, to be fair, coolness factor can help.
I do believe there is actually an
Okay.
opposite power-up that actually allows you to speed time that I will obtain later, which I believe it's much better, especially if you want to backtrack to levels that you haven't completed beforehand.
I will say this, to be fair about the slow motion jump stuff, it can come handy if you want to plan out some of your platforming actions here and there, which can come in handy every now and then. Maybe not the most, but I wouldn't say it's completely useless.
Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to mention is the 2D art that they permit actually the series, at least for this first trilogy. The 2D animation is done using Flash, as you probably will notice better later on, and the major artist behind it is a person called, if I recall correctly, Travis Kotzebue. A couple of other artists are credited, but I think most of them were also responsible for 3D animation. Travis was the major one behind the 2D animated stuff. Sadly, he didn't came back for the infamous games and Ghost of Tsushima, but that's weird because I did believe that the art style, despite being different, looked a bit similar to his, but no, they just had different people for them. But it's cool to see that Nate Fox actually kept a similar style in presenting the animated cutscenes.
Regarding Flash animation has gotten a bit of a dirty reputation, more than it's deserved. Flash, for those who don't know, is a special engine used for 2D hand-drawn or, 2D in general animation stuff here and there. The benefit is that it's one that people can use on the cheap, and heck, one that's actually accessible to, people who aren't official showrunners, like, you know, actual fan artists here and there. It's sort of why fan episodes of stuff like My Little Pony FIM look exactly like the show, because the show uses Flash, which is also very accessible to the public here and there.
There's also the fact that, you know, when this game was made in 2002, Flash was still used a lot, and it wasn't as common as today because the internet was not still extremely prevalent. It became much more prevalent, but it became more accessible with the advent of websites like Newgrounds.
I acknowledge that Flash is definitely something that can be used more for good than bad. That said, unfortunately, it has garnered a reputation as well being cheap to use. That's not always a bad thing, but, you know, when it's used obviously just for the sake of saving for a quick buck here and there, it does kind of become noticeable. I'll say it right now. It depends on the level of standard you're expecting for something here and there. Like, when it comes to, you know, lower budget stuff, or heck, stuff that works with Flash animation well, because there are actually high budget stuff that can work with Flash, it's fine. But when it's clearly being used as just about of, oh, you know, I don't really want to work too hard on my 2D animation stuff, that's when it becomes a problem. Now, if it's for the sake of saving on the budget, that is understandable, but please, for the love of God, try to actually make it look good.
Yeah,
I don't believe for this purpose trilogy, I think it works for the better. They actually gave it particular stylization, how the cutscenes are constructed, although you can tell the movements are a bit janky. But I kind of like the idea that they wanted to construct it like this was an actual Saturday morning cartoon.
I disagree too. I don't think that's the idea. I mean, I've always interpreted that the way the characters move in these scenes is supposed to, it's just more to simulate a comic book. That's kind of how I always saw it.
That too, although the structure does remind me more like a hybrid between the two. And keep in mind, this is basically exclusive to this. Neither Ratchet and Clank nor Jack and Dexter wanted that. They had just traditionally in-game 3D cutscenes and all.
I guess. But no, that's the thing, Jova. Like, one of the big problems is that what causes that thing that you said about the cheat thing is more so the fact that there's also the problem that sometimes artists don't seem to kind of run into the lazy route of allowing the computer to, you know, handle the colors for them in a more semi-automated way, because, you know, digital ink and paint stuff, instead of, you know, constantly interfering with the computer's decisions to make sure it adds an extra human touch to the way the show looks, you know. And that's the problem when you look at seasons 4 and 5 of seasons 5 and 6 of Pop-Off Girls compared to the first 4. For those who don't know, after season 4 of Pop-Off Girls, Kramer McCracken left the show to work on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And however, Pop-Off Girls was Cartoon Network's most popular franchise, so of course it couldn't just end. So they gave the show to a different team, and that team used Flash animation instead of traditional hand-drawn animation. And they did fall into that trap of the characters sometimes looking like the colors looked off compared to how they were before.
Isn't that kind of what happened, the same that happened for the final couple of seasons of Very Odd Parents?
I'm not familiar with that show, but I can tell you too that it happened the same thing with seasons 4 and onwards of Dexter's Laboratory, because seasons 4 and onwards of Dexter's Laboratory went for a completely different art style with Flash animation, and it looked so completely unlike how Gengen Tartakovsky originally envisioned the show.
That's kind of a thing with the golden age of Cartoon Network shows in general. They were great! So great that they ran for pretty long bouts of time, to the point of seasonal rot. Not just in the case of, oh, it's going on for too long, but for the case where, yeah, a lot of the original creators had left their particular shows and new teams took it up, and you know, that's not always a bad thing, but you could tell that the way they were going about doing them with the more quote-unquote modern take at the time was not going to hold up to standard here and there.
That's the thing, Jova. You can tell that when it comes to the Dexter Laboratories later seasons, it was made by a team that was mandated to just get this job done, and that's it. Not an actual team that had ideas for what to do with Dexter's Lab.
Anyway, Tia, what was the new power-up we just got?
Like Bentley said, an extension of the dive maneuver. It's not that much. Like I said, I'm not gonna use that much the dive move here. It's not really that important for combat, especially since all mooks die in one hit anyway.
Okay,
Sure.
back to you, Pedro.
God.
You know what's interesting, too? As you know, Genda Tartakovsky created Dexter's Laboratory, but then he left the show to work with Kirk McCracken on Powerpuff Girls the first 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and after that, Dexter's Lab went downhill. And then when Craig McCracken and Genda Tartakovsky left Powerpuff Girls, that show also went downhill. This kind of
Really
pattern
makes you think.
I mean, okay. Now, to Cartoon Network's credit, I can see why they tried to keep those shows alive. They had very lively fan bases, so I get, giving it the old college try to see about it. The problem was that there did come a point in time where they clearly just needed to end, but they tried again. And again. And again.
That's the thing, Jova.
Isn't there that meme?
Oh, the Powerpuff Girls movie. The movie's so bad that it apparently killed Cartoon Network's faith in theater-driven movies until the year when the Teen Titans...
Whatever it takes to get shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, that was from Craig McCracken.
No, very good. Basically, I need to get all the 7 keys so I can use the cannon, so that I will be catapulted into Sir Raleigh's headquarters. I already got 5, so I'm only missing 2 of them. So, again, at least this first game was actually really short. It was actually released in 2002, so basically around the beginning of the PS2 cycle. So you can tell they were just. So you can tell they were just experimenting with what the console was capable of doing.
But yeah, that's just the thing, Jova. The one show everybody, including the creators, wanted to keep going and keeping alive, they didn't, which was Common Chicken and I Am Weasel, because that's the one case of Cartoon Network's golden age where the creators didn't want to leave the show. They wanted to work more on it, but Cartoon Network wasn't having any of it.
I forget, why did Cartoon Network cancel? Was it because of low ratings or the fact that it just didn't have as big a
No, that's
viewership?
the thing, Jova. That's the thing, Jova. Because, as you know, Cartoon were, let's just say, more controversial in their jokes compared to the other.
Yeah.
So the management that Cartoon Network, I think it was new at the time, but don't quote me on that. Apparently wanted to, quote unquote, minimize risks, if you know what I mean.
So was that the same reason that led to cancellation of Samurai Jack after season 4?
No. That was...
To be fair, Tartakovsky himself said that one of the big reasons for that is because after season 4, Tartakovsky was feeling burned out.
That they can understand, but we could have just give it a conclusion, which is what happened with season 5 and more recently with the video game.
Okay.
Spoilers ahead, but...
Okay, Tio, I can assure you, Samurai Jack getting temporarily cancelled had nothing to do with the violence.
Temporary, Jova, it's a nice word, Jova, considering you've been past 10 plus years.
Okay. There's actually a lot of history as to what happened between season 4 and season 5. There was, believe it or not, at some point going to be a live-action movie, which Tartakovsky himself is very thankful did not happen.
For a long time, the IDW comic was actually considered the final conclusion of the story because they actually bothered to do that. I'm okay with the fact that Genny needed a break and doing something else, but at least having a series finale properly so that he could not work on it anymore afterward could have been nice at that time anyway.
That's the problem with Tartakovsky. Don't get me wrong, Tartakovsky is a very talented animator and a talented storyteller. That's not what I'm not denying. But sometimes he can suck at planning.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. I love Samurai Jack. Heck, I'm even rewatching the show now, but... oh boy, did he not plan some things out, especially considering that stuff with the Guardian, which didn't pan out well in season 5.
And he can also be quite the, let's just say, questionable producer, because basically, Jova, Tartakovsky was actually a producer on that terrible 2014 Powerpuff Girls special with the terrible art style.
The slumber
the
pants
anime?
one?
The anime
No,
one.
no.
That's
The anime is actually pretty good. It's not, better than the original show, but
Let me get a picture.
in terms of being like, a new take on it, Powerpuff Girls Z is perfectly fine.
Plus, it has the excuse of it's a take.
Basically, too, the idea is that back in 2014 they made a special, like not a reboot per se, more like a special Powerpuff Girl thing, where they even brought back the original voice actors. Chris McCacken was not involved, again, but then again, I didn't like Powerpuff Girls Rule anyway, and that was directed and written by him. So
I mean, he also did the movie, didn't he?
he did.
And I heard the movie's not terribly popular.
The audience should be able to find it for themselves.
Okay. When it comes to the Powerpuff Girls movie, I wouldn't call it terrible. That was what the critics referred to it as. That said, I can see why that movie failed, though. It was in an era of oversaturation for the Powerpuff Girls.
Okay, the only way I could see that art style working is if it was, as if that too was like a separate thing, like the anime was, but it isn't. So.
I mean, well, that's the thing. It kind of, sort of, is a separate thing. Kind of, sort of. It wasn't a reboot. It wasn't a reboot per se. It was meant to be a special. Something that did give fans hope of a revival later for the Powerpuff Girls. Obviously in a better art style. This one was sort of its own thing, but definitely taking cues from the original. It's very confusing to unravel. Anyway, in regards to the movie and why that failed, I chalk it up to oversaturation. Powerpuff Girls was #1 on Cartoon Network's list for, pretty much a pretty long time. So, of course, it made sense that it would be the first cartoon. That's the official name for the cartoons back in the day, cartoons. It was the first ever cartoon to get a theatrical movie. And then it flopped. Again, it didn't help that this was made on, like, the cusp of, I think, season 5 or something. It was
Okay, now I actually have to talk about something because, so with this begins the series tradition of becoming like Action 52 and having a gajillion different mini games and gameplay styles that are used for like once and never done it again. This is a hard one at that. It's basically a beginner's trap smack in the middle. The controls are fine, classic. The controls are fine, classic shooter stuff. You move with the left stick and aim with the right stick. It's actually pretty easy, and it does the automatic fire gun. The problem is that this is a case where the enemies in question, the crabs, do not die in one hit, so nor the object where you need to collect the treasure box. And you need to actually get all of them before the crabs get them back into their hidey holes. So, good luck, dipshit.
As Shiroi Pager was groaning, Dwibs, let me put it like this. The mini-games in Sly Cooper are many, and they are very highly in quality.
For the rest of the trilogy, they're actually much more fair. For this first one is regarded as the most difficult of a bunch because, again, early installment weirdness.
Yeah, again, this is before the... that is always the thing about a first game in a series. It's like, well, you can always bet it's going to have those caveats, which is sort of why a lot of times I sometimes welcome remakes of first games and franchises that they're going to iron out stuff so that it at least flows better here.
I can tell you this, at least for personal experience, and not because also about the 2016 remake, but I can tell you this, compared to the later games, the first Ratchet & Clank still is the one that's more consistent with its future titles. It only has actual quality of life improvements that are minor compared to the rest of the things, but as for basic ideas, it actually has most stuff that stays consistent for the rest of the series.
Doorbell.
Like I said, the minigames here... Oh, God.
Better luck next time?
Yeah, let's just cut this.
I suppose it's not as bad as the trolley, but still, goddamn.
Honestly, John, I keep saying I never had a problem with the trolley mission. The second Crystal Popcorn challenge with Hunter, fuck that.
Yeah, but then again, that reminds Shiroi, what do you think of the 2014 art style for Powerpuff Girls, since you're a fan as well, like me?
I don't really like it that much.
Well, there you go, very good. But that's the thing too.
Hold on, because actually I'm going to face the boss now.
Sure.
Bombs away.
Oh yeah.
Great physics.
The Eye of the Storm.
Aha.
How delightful.
Most of the villains here are voiced by Kevin Blackton.
I hate unexpected guests.
Listen, Raleigh. Wipe up my family and steal what's mine? You better expect company.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry. How sloppy.
Dweebs, what do you think of this character's accent? Trying very poorly a British one.
Wait, shouldn't you be asking Shiroi since he's Welsh?
I'm pretty confident he's not even trying to do a Welsh one, and more like the Cockney one instead.
No. That's not necessarily a Cockney one. If anything, he's doing more posh.
Shiroi, what do you think?
Bring it on.
Ain't really a Welsh accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
god,
but
no.
what is it then?
He turns into the.
I don't know. It's not Welsh.
Anyway, this is traditional.
Not my accent.
Traditional kind of boss fight. You just need to run away until he deflates, and then you can actually hit him. If I recall correctly, yeah. Kevin Blackton is actually an American voice actor from Californian, and has been doing some stuff afterward. Like, it was actually a character in the Telltale Monkey Island game, for example. So that's cool.
Nice.
In terms of voice acting, this game didn't really have any particular people that are really known to this day, or that were like having celebrities casting to them. Keep in mind, this was still the early years of a PS2, where voice acting for video game was kind of stabilizing. It was still present for the PS1, of course, with stuff like Metal Gear Solid, of course. But,
I love how he drowned and phased right through the platform.
Yeah, but the PS2 is clearly the era where it started, more getting cemented, like with James Arnold Taylor, first with Final Fantasy X, and then Ratchet, for example. And more and more games started having voice acting, of course, meant that people who had... Oh, no. Wow, how easy.
Gloat all you want, Sly Cooper. You're no match.
Wait, I thought his name was Sir Raccoon.
Anyway, this is our teaser for the next villain to fight.
Mesa City is so well guarded.
Yes, Jova, next time we're going America.
Neat. Oh, snap, he's dead.
No, he's just gonna get arrested.
Raleigh's section of the Thievius Racoonus held detailed instructions.
Yeah, the Japanese ancestor, Yoichi Cooper.
Ninja Spire Jump. A technique he developed while sneaking into the thickly fortified castles of feudal Japan. Finding a way off Raleigh's boat got a little tricky with the untimely arrival
Oh,
of
snap.
Cops.
And their peacocks, of course.
Failing to find me, busted Raleigh.
Alright, I'll read the newspaper. Hot chick with the gun bust amphibious yuck mouth.
Storm machine out of
That
commission,
was indeed a
Raleigh found her
sentence.
way back onto the ocean, and the mystery of the Welsh Triangle faded from memory.
There is no triangle.
My
I think.
You sure, Shiroi?
Wait. I wonder if the triangle was.
Not my whale.
Sorry, dweebs, we stole from the Queen.
I wonder if the triangle was more a reference to per se.
To the Bermuda Triangle, where I'm a British person.
Actually, I was gonna say a reference to like his syndicate. Like some syndicates are referred to as triangles for some reason.
No, in this case it was more a blatant reference to the Bermuda Triangle, just in this case an artificial one that Raleigh had constructed.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, like I said, because of that reason, at least this first game did not have much known voice actors. Thieves in Time actually would bring a lot of more familiar voices into the mix, but that's a story for another time. In the meantime, next part, we'll tackle Mugshot in the American city of Mesa City. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.